everybody, and welcome to the 45th episode of the Positively Dizzy Phone-In Show. I'm Kimberly Bouchard, the author of the best-selling series Positively Dizzy Books, from where this show stems from, and your host for the Phone-In Show. I cannot believe that I'm at episode 45. I am so very excited about this one. I was giving some hints throughout the week. If you double the number 45, what number do you get, and why would it be significant for this year? Well, most of you know that the significance of 90 is none other than Mickey Mouse's birthday, 90th birthday. And it's so very hard to believe that it was in 1928, after going through a difficult time, that Walt came up with this little mouse, Mickey, and his animator, Iwerks, also worked on that, helping Walt create this beautiful little darling. And I must say that Mickey Mouse is the only mouse that I do not fear, because I actually do have a phobia to mice. So I just absolutely adore Mickey, and he's probably one of the most iconic, recognized, world's most recognizable little mice around the world. And just very grateful that Walt created this little lovely guy. And he often told us, and it still resonates with me, that we cannot forget that the whole Walt Disney corporation, the company, the parks, the movies, everything, it all started with this little mouse. I'm actually wearing the sneakers that my husband brought back for me, with Steamboat Willie on them, with the original drawing of Mickey Mouse on them, which I absolutely adore. You know, I want to welcome all my Facebook viewers tonight, as well as my Twitch TV folks. Thank you for taking a moment out of your busy time in the throes of your Christmas and holiday preparations tonight. I know that we certainly are amongst that, and I'm going to start my baking tomorrow. At least it's not too late to do so. But with my Christmas baking, I had mentioned at one show that I like to make gingerbread cookies, and I will be making my little Mickey Mouse gingerbread boys, because I think they're absolutely adorable. You know, Mickey Mouse has been known to do many different things. And I'm not only talking about the lovely movies and animations and everything that the parks are represented by, but you know, Mickey actually has saved lives. He has brought people hope. He has done some wondrous things for so many people. There was recently something I caught. A father had come back from his deployment, and working with the folks at Walt Disney World, they actually managed to get the children to see Mickey Mouse in the town square place. And he appeared out of the side to his children, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was a wonderful, wonderful reconnection, and it was provided by the folks there, with Mickey Mouse delivering that very special reconnection with the family. You know, there's a fellow in my fourth book that is has one of the largest Mickey collections around the world, and he actually had started becoming a fan of Mickey Mouse as an adult, when when diabetes had struck him, and in celebrating his sight coming back after 6 months, his wife bought him a picture that he was very taken by, this Mickey Salutes America one. I'm not sure if y'all know about that one, but it's with Mickey saluting and the American flag draped behind him. And he has incredible pieces of art of Mickey Mouse. I just actually saw a couple this evening. He messaged over to me a really nice personalized one from David Willardson, another one of a kind, from Michael Eisner. It was a 1995 auction for the Heart Association, and Mickey's got little hearts in his eyes. It's a sketched a piece of art, which is so special. And it really, Mickey Mouse made him happy and made him smile. And when he was going through some different things with his diabetes and then consequently a vehicle accident, the pain, he overcame his pain. He forgot about his pain for the times that he would sit in his room and look at all of his Mickey Mouse art. Mickey Mouse has also been probably the only character that I can draw because everybody has always wanted to do, if you've been lucky enough to go to the parks, they used to have the animation drawings around the ships and things like that. And I don't know about you, but that's one of the main characters that they teach you how to sketch. And he's the only one that I can draw that looks half decent. So I'm pretty proud of my Mickey Mouse sketches, and I'll have to put one up in my podcast room here. Before I go on, I just want to welcome my husband, Jacques, Elizabeth Tabor, and welcome to my friend Bret Iwan and Chris Salata. We are very excited to announce our guest, who Bret Iwan. Yes, he is the voice of Mickey. We'll put that out there right now. And he's a lovely human being that has a really nice story, which also happens to be in the fourth book. And he's been so gracious to give of his time tonight in his throes of Christmas preparation. So we're going to just dial through to him now and talk to him this evening. Thank you again for everybody that has joined me this evening. And we're just ringing him up right now.
This is Bret.
Okay. We got you. Third time's the charm, I think. And any listeners out there, can you hear Bret on the line? I'm hoping that you can. If you want to double check, yes, you are on the air. literally. Yes.
Finally.
So anyways, Bret, tell me now, how and when did you recognize that there was a Mickey Mouse?
That's an interesting question, because I don't know that I remember a time when I didn't know who Mickey Mouse was. My family was, actually my parents, they grew up loving Disney in their own right. My dad was a big fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, and he had a lot of the old Walt Disney production records that he would listen to. So Disney and Mickey were just kind of always a part of my upbringing. And we always went to Disneyland. I have photos of me, probably no older than 2 years old at Disneyland. So it was an experience that my parents wanted to share with me very early on.
Oh my goodness.
I don't remember not being aware of Mickey. I do have great memories of, learning more about the character when I was really young. My dad and I would, my parents insisted on showing me all the old classic shorts and the features as well. And so I grew up watching Dumbo and Pinocchio. Pinocchio was one of my favorites. And then, Brave Little Tailor and Lonesome Ghost and all those great shorts. And one of my favorite things to do was my dad would watch them with me, and then we'd pause them and we would draw the characters. So, that's not only was I learning about the characters and their characteristics and, what made them who they are, but I also got my sort of drawing by watching those classic shorts and just learning an appreciation for that beautiful animation that was done back then.
Yeah. Now, did your dad do that on a regular basis? Was that kind of like a dad and son type of thing to do, or?
Yeah, I think, I can't remember how frequent it was, but it seemed like we did it quite a bit. I think my parents realized early on that I had some artistic talent, and they were very encouraging of me pursuing that. So again, as far as pursuing art, I can't remember a time when I didn't want to be an artist, and I can never remember a time where my parents didn't support that decision. Yeah. So, drawing and encouraging creativity was just constant in my house. And so, yeah, I don't know if it was a super regular thing, but I know we did it a lot. Yeah. And it obviously stuck with me because it's one of my best memories from my childhood is doing that. So, yeah. Good question. I'm not sure how frequent it was.
Yeah. Bret, I'm curious, do you have any of those original pictures? Did your parents keep them for you, or?
I don't know if how many they have. I do know that my mom has one that she shared with me. I think maybe there's two. Okay. and it's a picture of Mickey holding an American flag and what appears to be a beer. It might be a Coke, who knows?
Oh.
But it's a bottled beverage. So clearly influenced by some sort of 4th of July get together.
Oh,
but
fun.
I do know that we have that one somewhere. She's scanned it and sent it to me at one point.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. Well, we'll say it was a Coca-Cola in keeping with the family show.
There you go. It was a soda pop.
So, so you're saying your dad, you and your dad sketched a lot of the different characters. So what was it that drew you to him particularly?
There's been a lot of studies that say that the appeal of Mickey has something to do with the fact that he's very circular and circles are comfortable and appealing to people, especially at a very young age. Infants tend to gravitate towards those shapes.
Oh, neat.
So that could have been part of the draw. I think also, I very early on took an interest in the legacy of the Disney company, and that being Walt Disney, and the history behind it. And so I think early on, I just was, I linked those two things together. Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney were one and very similar to each other. And so I think knowing how important Mickey was, and knowing that he was, the first of so many things in animation and for the company, he's the leader of the gang and all of that. I think was very appealing to me. I do remember a time, probably during teen angst or whatever, I thought, I don't like Mickey anymore. I want to like Goofy or Donald, because Mickey's like, everyone likes Mickey. I want to like one of the lesser known ones. But it was all ruse. I was just doing that to try and seem cooler. Not that makes you cooler, but I was trying to, not go the typical route. Right. But the truth was, Mickey was just always my favorite.
Yeah. Now, I remember that in your visits to the parks, there was one particular show that really, I guess, just really grabbed your attention. Can you tell us a little bit about what that show was, and then what you did as a child with that show with your brother? I think it's absolutely adorable.
So the show is Fantasmic, which debuted in 1992. So I would have been 10 years old, and I loved Disneyland. I loved all the visits that we had up to that point. But I just remember on this particular visit, all of a sudden people started gathering around the rivers of America, and this show just appeared out of nowhere. And it was magical. It was quintessential Disney magic to me to see this world and presentation and all the grandeur and spectacle of it just arise out of this place that we've all been enjoying all day long. Was so cool. And then to make it even better, the story was fantastic. It was Mickey journeying through all these different realms of his imagination. There were pirates, there were villains, there were ghosts, there's pachyderms. It was fantastic. So I loved that show. And then after that trip, every time we went back, I insisted on watching Fantasmic. Now, even back then, it was difficult to watch the show. You had to, grab your seat early. You had to, someone had to claim your spot hours beforehand, and the crowds were insane. It's quite the feat to even watch it now, but even back then, it was crazy. So it didn't always happen. And on one particular visit, my dad just, was a little too tired after taking the kids around for the day, and he said, "You know what? I'm sorry, but we're going to have to go home. We're not going to stay for Fantasmic." And I was upset. But on the way out, he saw that the Fantasmic soundtrack was for sale. We were actually passing Mickey's Star Trader in Tomorrowland. And so we stopped in there and bought the soundtrack, and he told me when we got home I could listen to it. So I did. And then I listened to that soundtrack all the time. It was one of my favorites. And I think because it was, it had so many great Disney moments in it, so many great characters as well. So I listened to that all the time, and that's where I got my start doing voices. I wasn't really a kid who watched cartoons and did the voices. But for whatever reason, listening to these soundtracks, whether it were the old records that were handed, the vinyls that were handed down to me by my dad, or this, Fantasmic CD, I started doing all these Disney voices. And obviously, at one point, Mickey kind of sounded good to me. It kind of stuck. So I kept doing it.
Yeah.
But in listening to that soundtrack, I've always been somebody who I love storytelling, whether it's voice acting, whether it's my illustration of my art, whether it's design or hosting a party. I'm getting ready to host a Christmas party soon, and I can't just put up a tree and put some cookies out. No. I have to make a theme. So my theme is it's a ski lodge. So my guests are coming to my home, and it's a ski lodge, and I have signage directing them to the ski slopes, and I have a ranger station, and the s'mores bar is set up with different menu options. So I really love that immersive storytelling, and that Disney does so well.
Yeah.
So as a kid, the way I kind of facilitated that desire was we would put on our own versions of Fantasmic. So my brother and I would, get our stuffed animals together, get our little figurines, or we'd act out the different parts, and we'd figure out ways to use different lights and do some lighting effects. Or if we had a fog machine from Halloween, we'd use that.
Oh.
At one point, I remember we even went outside and we're like shooting garden hoses up and trying to make our own water screen. And my dad had a job where he had to travel and teach for the company he worked at. So he had a little projector, and we tried hooking up that projector and spraying it into the water to try and get that same effect. It wasn't very successful, but it was a fun thing to attempt. So, we played Fantasmic all the time. It was fun.
I love
it. Time.
I love it. That is actually one of my favorite shows as well. Whenever I go to Walt Disney World, and I haven't actually seen it at Disneyland. I haven't had a chance to.
Oh,
yet. I know, isn't that crazy? I know. I've been numerous times, but we mainly had gone to Walt Disney World. So the next time I'm in Disneyland and can actually be there for an evening, I'm going to check it out with our family. But I love that show. Everything about it is just over the top, really, it's amazing. And I'm thinking when you were just that little boy, I mean, if anybody would have given you a crystal ball to say, you know what, Bret, when you grow up, you're going to be Mickey Mouse, I don't think anybody, nobody would believe that, right? And
no, probably not.
Yeah. So, and I have Stan Solo on here. He says the one at Disneyland is so much better, and I think that's really I have to get down there to see that. And one thing that I know a little bit about that, if you can share, is so the whole way you became Mickey Mouse is quite the journey, because as I said, that wasn't going to be your intention at all. It almost literally, it sort of fell in your lap, didn't it? I mean, that whole process.
It did. It did, absolutely. I think my story is one of those moments when you can say it literally fell in my lap.
Yeah.
In the form of an email on my laptop that was sitting on my lap in bed. So it fell into my lap.
Okay.
So I, again, always was interested in art and storytelling, and I pursued an arts degree with an emphasis on illustration. I did that, and then from there I got a job with Hallmark Greeting Cards in Kansas City, Missouri. And I was an illustrator and designer for them for 5 years. Loving it. It was fantastic. But, I was from California, and I always had a desire to move back to California, closer to family. Mm-hmm. And I also never shook the desire to work for Disney. That was always a goal of mine. And I had some opportunities that came about, when I was graduating college, but they just weren't the right fit for me. So it didn't work out. But I thought, I should really think about pursuing that again, getting back out to California, maybe taking a job at Disney. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't expect it, but I got an email shortly after I started that whole thought process, and it outlined the auditions that were taking place through Disney Character Voices, the division of Disney that handles the character integrity and consistency when it comes to recording dialogue from all of them. Mm-hmm. And so they were looking for an understudy for the then voice of Mickey, Wayne Allwine. And Wayne had done the voice since 1977. So he'd done it 32 years at this point. This is 2009. But he'd been battling some health issues for a few years, and it was just becoming more difficult for him to perform the character. And so they, the Disney Character Voices, decided that maybe now is a good time to try and put out the feelers and find somebody that could be an understudy to Wayne, so Wayne could pass on the torch eventually, start training somebody.
Right.
They put together this audition process and outlined it in an email that was internally circulated. So my friend from college, Jamie Landis, Jamie Landis Rowe, excuse me, she's an animator at Pixar, and she got the email and knew that I did a Mickey voice because in high school and even in college, I went to college in Florida, so we went to Disney World all the time. I was an annual pass holder and would go up on the weekends. And when we were there, as a lot of people do, you do impressions of the characters. And so I would do my Mickey voice because my friends always responded like, wow, that's really good. That's so cool. So I would just, say things every once in a while. So she knew I did that, and that's why she sent me the email.
Yeah.
And she said, you got to try this. So I looked at the email, and, I was kind of in awe and somewhat disbelief that this was even coming across my desk or my lap, I guess.
Yeah.
So it outlined the process, and I just followed what it told me to do. I practiced for a while. They had sent some reference that you were supposed to match. I did my best to match that reference.
Yeah.
Called into the voicemail hotline system they had set up, and I left my audition. And a month or two, I think 2 months went by. I didn't hear anything, and then I finally got a phone call, and they wanted to know what part of California I was in. Again, assuming that this email went out to internal employees only, they thought I must be either the Burbank campus or potentially at the Pixar campus.
Yeah.
So when I explained that I was at neither, they hesitated, but I got a follow-up email the next day that said they still would welcome my submission for this callback process that was happening, but I would have to fly myself out to LA and audition in person, which of course I had no problem doing.
Yeah.
So I flew myself out and I auditioned, and that was actually my first time in a sound recording booth. First time with that process. Intimidating. It's intimidating to be auditioning for Mickey Mouse, but then intimidating to be part of a profession in a world that I knew nothing about.
Right.
But so much fun. I fell in love with it from the first, the minute they said, take one. So yeah, I did my audition, and then another month and a half maybe went by. And during that time, they hadn't made any decisions, but unfortunately, Wayne Allwine passed away during that time. And so after a respectable mourning period, Mickey had to keep working, and they had projects that were lining up and ready to go. So that's when I got a call, and they said, we'd like to start trying you on some projects. So it still wasn't an official offer by any means, but they said they'd fly me out and we would work on projects, and they would just kind of see how things go, just see if it was a good fit, which I was completely on board with and ecstatic to be even considered. So I started doing that. I would fly out from Kansas City and record. The first shows I did were, I think, first one was a cavalcade for Animal Kingdom, and then shortly after that, like maybe the same day, we started on Disney on Ice celebrations. So I worked on those, and after a day or two, and we saw how things were going. They said that they wanted me to be the guy if I was interested. So
wow.
At that point, it was offered to me, and I've heard interviews before with Wayne and with Jimmy McDonald, his predecessor even, and they talk about how there really is no big fanfare. Like I think on a fan level, a lot of people think like it must be such a big deal to be chosen and to be offered that. Right. But it's literally just to sit down in an office and say, "Well, we'd like you to be the guy if you want to move out." And I said, "Cool, would love to." So there was no passing of the baton or any fanfare, but it was very magical for me. Yeah. So long story short, I eventually packed up my life in Kansas City and moved back out to my native land of Los Angeles. Yeah. And have been here ever since, going on almost 10 years now.
That is so amazing, Bret. And I remember you telling me, and if you can share this with the audience, because I thought it was just such a full circle moment when you were offered the position, because you were not living back home in LA yet. You were still, I think, flying back and forth, but you took a little walk down the road. Can you share? Yeah.
So you're correct. I was still living in Kansas City, so I would fly out, I would do the recording, and then I would head back to LAX and fly back to Kansas City. And on the day they offered it to me, I had some time to kill before I was getting picked up to the airport. So back then, the offices and recording studios were in a satellite building to the Disney campus, but just a few blocks down. So I decided I have time to kill. I'm going to walk down to the studio. And, at this point, I didn't have a company or corporate IB. I had no access to the studio lot, but I still just wanted to be kind of, nearby. So I took a walk over and I walked around the perimeter of the studio lot, and I just kind of let it soak in. And I thought about, that little kid who loved watching the old cartoons and would beg his parents just to drive past the Disney lot so I could see the water tower and see the buildings and imagine the animators at work inside. And now I was, at the threshold of being a part of that.
Yeah.
And so I just took a walk and kind of reflected on all of that. And, I think it's important in life when you're presented with those moments, whether, big in a positive way or even when they're not so great and they're maybe painful. I think honoring those moments and taking a minute to let it sink in and really kind of, I guess, take note of what you're feeling and what you're experiencing is really important and something I try to do. And so I definitely in that moment let things slow down and just kind of soaked it in and thought, my life is about to change in ways that I can't even imagine at this point. It was terrifying, but it was also incredibly exciting. So.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's a little afraid of the unknowns, and I definitely know the excitement overcame the terror in everything because you have done absolutely phenomenal things in your 10 years as Mickey.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And it couldn't have gone to seriously a nicer fellow because it was really lovely how I feel very grateful to have had our paths crossed, back in, I think it was October when I first met you personally. And, folks, this guy is a very humble guy and he's a jokester because we hung up on him earlier tonight and had to call him back. but just a real lovely human. Bret, I was just wondering, because I know we have to stay within the confines of, proprietorship and stuff like that. But are there any stories that you are able or would like to share with us of your encounters with the public or a couple things that might stand out in your mind that really impacted you actually as the character?
Oh gosh. I've had so many amazing experiences working with Mickey and with Disney. And I know I'm hitting a wall right now memory wise, but I know there's so many great ones that I wish I could remember right now. I think, the generic answer is just that, it is so great to, just like anyone's job or any career, you get into a rut, not a rut, but you get into a
routine,
familiarity with a job, a routine. Thank you. I don't get to, my job says I'm not down on Main Street interacting with people daily. I'm going into a recording studio and there's usually the same three people and we work on the projects and then I go home. So it's great in those moments when I do get to meet, fans or somebody who loves Mickey as much as I do, and they just get to share with me how impactful it is. I meet so many parents who tell me that Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Mickey and the Roadster Racers are on every day at their house. And then, I always say to them, I say, well, I don't know whether to say thank you or I'm sorry, but, it's crazy. And now I even have, I have young nieces and a nephew, and they watch it all the time too. I'm watching episodes that I would never watch otherwise,
right?
That I've forgotten about because it's on there when I'm visiting with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool. The best part about this gig and the honor of it is, one, thinking about the fact that I get to do something that Walt Disney did himself.
Yes.
But two, just to play a part in in something that is so impactful for so many people.
Right.
Everyone knows Mickey, and
Mhm.
to a lot of people, Mickey is their pal. He's their buddy.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
and um, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I bet.
It's surreal. Surreal is the right word for it.
Right.
And the longer I do it, the more people are familiar with me. I never, I hesitate to say this because I'm not famous. I'm by no means a celebrity, but I never wanted to be one either. I never had aspirations of,
Right.
being a famous person.
Right.
But now people know who I am and they know what I do, and it's humbling and it's flattering. It's so flattering to think that I do something that people care enough to want to find out who does that. Who
Right.
is the guy behind that voice?
Right.
Um,
It's very
and so, like,
meaningful.
it
Yeah.
never gets old to just to hear people's appreciation, and
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think when you hear your voice around the parks? Like, are you?
I'm finally at a point where I can enjoy it for the most part now. I've done so many projects that, it's hard to really dwell on each one. But in the beginning, when I hadn't done that much, as the parade was coming down Main Street, it was kind of painful for me to listen to because
Oh.
to me, I heard myself. I didn't hear Mickey.
Oh.
But now I'm back at a place where I can enjoy it, and I think having my nieces and my nephew
Yeah.
helps because when I get to experience it through their eyes, it's a totally different world. I'm not as objective, and I'm not scrutinizing the performance and
Sure.
remembering back to the circumstances surrounding it.
Yeah.
I'm able to say, okay, it's fun.
Yeah.
People are loving it. It's great, but it is weird.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Well, I think
I mean,
yeah, as an actor, you're always scrutinizing what it sounds like, what it looks like, or whatever. And it's nice that your nieces and nephew can bring you to that moment of being present, right? And just enjoying that
Yes.
moment, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was curious to know, I don't know if you're allowed to answer this, yes or no, but the new Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad, do you do the voice for all of that? I would imagine you do, yeah? Or,
So that is an interesting question, and so the only thing that I do not work on
yeah.
as the official voice of Mickey Mouse, the only thing I don't work on are the Mickey Mouse shorts that have come out the past
Okay.
few years.
Okay.
Because those were a departure from classic Mickey. The
Right.
creators wanted, a different Mickey, and if you watch them, it's obvious he's
Yeah.
a different Mickey.
Sure.
So I don't voice him on those shorts,
Okay.
and related, I did not voice him for the Runaway Railway.
Okay.
Runaway Railway. Michael Vargo, head of D23, told me that that's a really challenging thing to say,
Oh.
and I didn't have to say it. But now that I just did, I realized he's absolutely right. That is a challenging attraction title.
Yeah, it is for sure.
So yeah, unfortunately, I didn't work on that, but
Okay.
it's great that Mickey's getting a ride, and everything I've seen, it looks like it's going to be such a fun experience. So
Oh yeah.
it's very cool.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. I can't wait. I was just going to ask, I mean, you already kind of shared something very special about taking the moment to reflect on things, whether they're positive or, maybe not so much, and kind of just thinking about things, slowing down and thinking about it. But is there any special message that now's your chance, to share with folks, either sort of what would Mickey say or think, or what would Bret say? Is there anything that you would like to impart, like words of wisdom or anything of that nature, Bret?
Yeah, I love that question. And I actually was just having a conversation last night. I met with a lot of young and newer voiceover artists who are, just getting their footing in the business, and had a really great conversation with a guy who is currently living in Oregon, and he was asking me like what my thoughts were about moving to LA to jump into the business, and that kind of spurred on to just talking about passion, and I found myself talking about passion a lot this year. I don't know why, but I guess I'll go with that. And I'm just somebody who has always pursued my passions,
Okay.
whether they're creative, whether they're intellectual. Um, and I've been very fortunate and blessed in life to be able to,
Mhm.
and I've always been surrounded by people who have encouraged that. So I guess if I was to be so bold as to try and impart any wisdom, I would say I think the most important thing anyone can do is recognize a passion and then pursue it.
Mm.
But pursue it wholeheartedly.
Right.
Like you have to be willing to put in the work
Yes.
to achieve your goals.
Mm.
And I've done so many great things. I've worked for Hallmark. I've been an artist. I've had art and gallery shows. I've
Mm.
learned how to operate steam locomotives and
Mm.
gotten to do that around the country. I
Yeah.
get to voice Mickey Mouse. I've traveled the world and I've gone to see national parks, and all of those things were passions of mine that I just decided I wanted to pursue. And so I
Mhm.
think pursue your passions, but then also do it your way.
Okay.
Because that was another part of the conversation last night. Like I just shared about my origin story, essentially, as a voiceover artist. I wasn't the typical route. I didn't, get an agent. I didn't do a demo reel. Wasn't working for years trying to book a gig.
Right.
It found me.
Yeah.
But now that's not going to happen for everybody.
No.
I'm not naive enough to think that. Um, but I just think there is a power in not being afraid to pursue your dreams and your passions,
Mhm.
if you're willing to put in the hard work. And also, not everybody's going to fit into the same mold or the same
Right.
path or the same journey. And I
Right.
think that's okay. I think allowing ourselves to recognize that and to say, this is how I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
Of course, always being open to the advice of others, because there's definitely something to be said for listening to peers and people who
Mhm.
have been there before you.
Sure.
But kind of chart your own course in a way.
Right. Well,
You
you
don't always have to
certainly
plug it into
have. Yeah.
Siri and just go with what she says, because
Yeah.
she's not always right.
Yeah. Well, you certainly have. And, I find it interesting because, something that I found kind of interesting, anyways, is I mean, we all know Walt's fascination with trains, but you also have a great love and fascination for trains. And you actually got to do, you got to work on some original, I think, was it steam engines that this past summer, I believe. I'm trying to remember now what it was that.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Similar to my my interest in art and my interest in Disney, I don't remember ever not being a train nerd, for lack of a better word. I was very
Yeah.
fascinated by the mechanics behind it,
Mm.
and just the workings, and then also the symbolism of how they represent the American West, and kind of
Mhm.
like the whole Western genre of things always fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I grew up in a household. My dad was a model train guy. We
Oh,
had
fun.
trains all the time. We took vacations to see them all the time. And
Yeah.
so about this time last year, last fall, I decided I've always loved these things. I've always thought they were so cool.
Mhm.
But other than a little bit of knowledge I picked up over the years, I hadn't really ever dove too deep into it. And I
Mhm.
thought, I want to know. I want to know how they operate. I want to do that. I don't want it just to be this thing that I watch roll down the tracks.
Right.
So I did. I pursued a couple different opportunities. One was a personal, a family farm that happens to operate a railroad. They were so
Oh,
gracious to welcome
wow.
me in and kind of let me learn a little bit from them.
Mm.
Unfortunately, it was very far from where I lived, so it wasn't super conducive. But then
Mm.
a few months later, I found another opportunity um, closer to home, and so yeah, I this spent my summer working on steam locomotives that were built in 1881.
Wow.
So they're pretty old,
Yeah.
but they're the real deal, and they're still moving, and it's great
Amazing.
to work with a piece of machinery like that not only is you know going probably gonna definitely gonna outlive us, because it
Right.
already has outlived
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
But it's great to see the ingenuity and the engineering, the mechanics behind it. But it's also so cool because you know it's a living, breathing thing. It's a machine
Yeah.
that um, like has a personality, and each day you go in, you have to learn like what mood it's in. And so
Oh, that is
uh, it's,
interesting. I,
it's a really fun. Um, there's I don't even know the best way to describe it, but I have to think that there's a little bit of creativity involved. There's engineering, there's mechanical knowledge.
mhm.
Um, it's there's instinct and intuition involved as well with it. So
Hmm.
it's a really fun little tangent I took over the
I
past
just
year.
think that that is such an interesting parallel to Walt himself. I just think that is quite fascinating, to be honest with you, a bit serendipitous. I have to ask you before I let you go, because I know our time is coming up, but I know that Fantasmic will always have a very special place in your heart. But is there a particular attraction, a favorite one or two attractions, Brett, that you enjoy?
Oh, well, that one I have to give I mean, the cop out answer would be the railroad.
Okay, that's what I
But
thought.
beyond that, I will say my two favorite attractions have always been Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
Yay.
again, just classic
Nostalgic.
storytelling.
Yes.
Just the immersive environments and, there's nothing like those attractions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think they'll always be my favorites.
Those are my two go-to attractions every time. That is, if I can't go to anything, I will go to Pirates and Haunted. And it's
Yeah.
really neat. I actually took my husband for the very first time to Disneyland just for the day back in October. I was there for some other engagements, and going on Pirates and Haunted Mansion was such a unique experience because it's not like the ones at Walt Disney World at all. It's
Oh
really
yeah, no,
it was
very
such a
different.
nice surprise, really. I'd been on Haunted before, but not Pirates. I just couldn't remember Pirates. It was a long
Yeah,
time
sure.
ago. But it was neat for him to experience it for the first time because it was Pirates, but a different Pirates, and I think
Yeah,
it's really
that's awesome.
cool. Yeah, to experience that. Oh my gosh. Brett, how often do you get back to the parks? I mean, you're a very busy guy, plus you have a lot of other interests as well. I'm just curious, how often
Yeah.
you get back?
Probably not as often as I would like to, or as often
Yeah.
as I think fans would like to believe I get down
Oh yeah.
there.
Okay.
Living in LA, you deal with traffic, and Disneyland is at least an hour drive for me.
Okay.
Um, but I have my family visits a lot, and definitely go when they visit. I love to go during the holidays and see all the different Christmas decorations. I was
Yeah.
down there for Halloween and got to see. I went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party down in Disneyland, and I was just in Disney World actually for Mickey's birthday weekend,
Ah,
November 18th.
yeah.
D23 did their Destination D event down there, so I got to go back to Florida. I hadn't been in a well, actually, I've been to Florida twice this year, so maybe I've gone more than I think I do.
Oh,
But I definitely visit. I visit frequently. Yes, I'll just
nice.
say that.
Nice. Well, Brett, it has just been an absolute joy to have you on sharing, just some neat things that most people would not realize, as the voice of Mickey Mouse, and how much of a personality is involved in creating that voice, and I think something that I don't know if people realize this, but when you do a voiceover audition for something as momentous and great as that, they're not looking for your rendition of Mickey. They want an
Mm.
exact match. So I feel very privileged. I feel like the spirit of Walt himself is joining us tonight.
No,
It's just, yeah, really, really been very special to have you on here, and just really,
well,
really
thank
appreciate
you.
it. So, Brett, you and I will be in touch. And I just want to wish you a very, very, lovely holiday season and a Merry Christmas. And hope you get over that cold really quick. You're starting to
Thank
sound a
you.
bit better. Yeah. And have a great time visiting your family and with your friends, because I think that you work very hard at what you do, and you bring so much joy to other people, and I think that that you deserve to feel have some more joy in your life as well with your family and friends this season. So thank you so much again for joining us.
Oh,
And
thank you. It's seriously my pleasure. And same to you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and also congratulations on the release of your book. Which and thank you for the copy you sent me. It's fantastic.
oh,
Been reading all the great stories, so honored to be a part of that.
thank you.
Just as I am to be on your podcast tonight. So thank you for inviting me, and thank you for letting me chat.
Thank you so much. And anyways, you have a great rest of your evening. All right.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Take care. Okay.
Okay.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Well, I think I hope you guys can still hear me live, but he is such a wonderful human being, and you know, I am very respectful of the Walt Disney Company and everything that they hold near and dear, and Brett cannot legally and proprietary because of proprietorship say Mickey talk like Mickey on the show, and I respected that because that was something that we did discuss before the show. And But I just love him to bits. He's just such a wonderful man, and so now you've heard him, and every time you hear Mickey Mouse, and it will make you think about the man, the present day man behind Mickey Mouse, and enjoy that. Again, I want to thank everybody for taking the time out for the show tonight. We will be back in January. We're going to be taking a bit of a break for the holiday season, and I really want to wish you guys a wonderful, a Merry Christmas and a very safe and warm holidays. I will probably make just a wee bit of an announcement on Christmas Eve, a week from today. Not a direct podcast, but I will probably just do a little live announcement. I have a drawing to do for one of my books, the fourth book. And again, thank you. This show is recorded, as you guys all know, and like it, share it with other folks, because it was so lovely to be able to have Mickey Mouse, the voice of Mickey Mouse, Bret Iwan, on my show tonight. All right, take care, you guys. Blessings on your family. Good night.